News 12 on your side. Breaking news.
Breaking this midday, 8 people in the hospital and 1 suspect confirmed dead after an active shooter situation at Ohio State University. This is a live look now at campus after school officials have lifted the shelter-in-place warning. Now, Ohio State University warned students in a series of tweets this morning. Just before 10 a.m., the school sent out this tweet telling students to run, hide, fight. Now, that means evacuate if you can, get silently out of view, or fight as a last resort. Looking again at the school, live pics, reports are that the alleged shooting situation started at Watts Hall, which is a materials science and engineering building. A local mother describing to us this midday the fear that she has as her son and his girlfriend are out there right now. Beth Anderson-Cullinan on the phone with us right now. Beth, you were telling me that your son and his girlfriend are safe, that you spoke with them recently. Can you tell us how he sounded?
He sounded fine. He was real nonchalant, because he didn't want his mom to worry. But everything, was okay, and they stayed hunkered down, and, everything went smoothly, and he kept in contact with me, the whole entire time. So it went well, and he's safe, and she's safe, and I just pray for the ones that were, injured.
We're looking at a picture now of your son Morgan and his girlfriend Kelly, as a matter of fact, at the Ohio State game yesterday. Talk to us a little bit about what he said happened. Was he on campus or his girlfriend when any of this occurred?
Well, actually, they had woken up to sirens going down the street, and he said that, he texted me and said, Mom, there's a, active shooter on campus right now, but we are okay, and, everything's fine. They just, have everything on lockdown. They even have the street on lockdown, and that's what her family lives right down the road as well. So everything was on lockdown, but they ended up, lifting that, thank goodness. So it went smoothly, and like I said, he was just very calm about everything. So, which, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I'm sure as a mother you are pretty relieved. I know you told me he's supposed to come home tomorrow. He went there to visit his girlfriend over the holiday break. Is he still scheduled to come home tomorrow?
He is still scheduled to come home tomorrow, so since the lockdown has been lifted, I think it will, he'll, be here, which is great. I know he didn't want to leave, but, he has to.
Right. Well, I'm sure as a mother you are very relieved of that good news this morning, and certainly keeping everyone involved in this situation in our thoughts this midday. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, too.
Take care.
All right. You too.
Also breaking this midday, a federal judge says he will allow Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof to represent himself in his murder trial. The 22-year-old white man is on trial for shooting and killing 9 black church members at Emmanuel AME Church back in June of 2015. Now, this decision comes as some 500 potential jurors are being screened to find out who will hear the case. This is the first of 2 death penalty trials Roof faces. Well, an incident report shedding more light this midday on what led to a deputy-involved shooting in Aiken County. The report says the man armed with a machete and a gun told dispatchers that he would, quote, kill deputies if confronted. Investigators say 25-year-old Justin Pollock made multiple threats to harm law enforcement as well as himself. Deputies say they fired when he wouldn't drop his weapons. Deputies say he was stable when taken to the hospital.
Well, a thick layer of clouds over us from early this morning, only alluded to a little bit more sunshine breaking out, so temperatures warming up nicely. It's been very stormy from eastern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and parts of Arkansas since this morning. Powerful cold front headed on eastward, while primarily it's just cloud cover right now, getting a good feed out of the south and southeast. That same system will have an impact on us by this time tomorrow and into Wednesday, so we could be looking at some beneficial rain. Winds out of the southeast at 11. It's just about 70 degrees. We'll continue with upper 60s, kind of holding pattern to near 70 as we move on through the evening forecast. That chance for rain, we'll talk more about that in the forecast a little bit later. Monique?
All right, Tim, keeping those umbrellas handy. Well, it is the biggest day in online shopping, Cyber Monday, and numbers just out today tell us how big it will actually be. Adobe predicts that Cyber Monday sales will hit $3.4 billion. That's nearly 10% more than last year. They say 36% of shoppers will buy today. Others there might actually be fewer shoppers today than in recent years. Now, the big reason, several big shopping sites like Amazon have spread out their deals, making them last all week long. Well, 16 pit bulls are dead this midday, including 14 puppies, after an overnight mobile home fire in Hephzibah. You can see here the dogs are not the only thing the family lost. The mobile home on Liberty Church Road is completely burned to the ground. The fire started just after midnight. Now the Red Cross has been called in to help the family. And Augusta Fire Chief says the couple who lived there in the house, they were actually breeding the dogs. They made it out safely. Well, thousands of Cubans gather at Havana's Revolution Square for final farewells to Fidel Castro. Castro died Friday. The island is observing a week of services leading up to the funeral, which is scheduled for December 4th. Well, the former president ruled the country for nearly a half-century through years of revolution and iron-fisted leadership. Chip Reed reports now from D.C. as U.S. Airlines starts to direct flights to Havana today.
All these signs, Cubans for Trump.
Just days before he was elected, Donald Trump promised to reverse the nation's diplomatic deal with Cuba.
We will cancel Obama's one-sided Cuban deal made by executive order if we do not get the deal we want.
On Sunday, Mr. Trump's incoming White House chief of staff signaled the whole deal is up in the air.
President-elect Trump is going to be looking for some movement in the right direction in order to have any sort of deal with Cuba.
In Peru earlier this month, President Obama reassured Latin American business owners that U.S. ties to Cuba will not be cut off.
All those things I expect to continue.
The White House and the president-elect were on opposite ends of the spectrum in their comments on Fidel Castro's death. In his statement, President Obama left it up to history to judge the enormous impact of this singular figure. Trump was more blunt, calling Castro a brutal dictator who oppressed his own people. American Alan Gross spent 5 years in a Cuban prison accused of undermining their government. He says the only thing keeping the countries at odds had been the men in charge.
I boil it down to a personality conflict between 10 U.S. presidents and 1 Cuban president. And when we got to the 11th president and the Cuban presidency changed, that's when we were able to move forward a little bit with diplomatic relations.
Chip Reed, CBS News, the White House.
Augusta commissioners talking money this midday. The Public Service Committee will focus on new fees that go with past due taxes, parts of the 2017 approved budget, and Riverwalk repairs. Now, Administrative Services will talk appointments, pay, and zoning ordinances to allow distillery and brew pubs in downtown Augusta. And the Engineering Committee will work to tackle Broad Street's broken fountains and lights. Well, a South Carolina judge will determine if jurors will visit the spot where a former police officer shot and killed a motorist during a traffic stop. Testimony in the Michael Slager case continues today. The white ex-cop shot and killed a 50-year-old Walter Scott, an unarmed black man, back in April of 2015. Closing arguments are expected by the end of this week. Well, in yet another officer-driver involved shooting, an Ohio judge is expected to meet with both sides in the Ray Tenzing murder trial to see if Tenzing will be retried. The former University of Cincinnati police officer killed Sam DuBose during a traffic stop last year. The defense is asking the judge for an acquittal. Well, it was nice while it lasted, but road work projects in both South Carolina and Georgia start back up today. Both states stopped their work for the holiday weekend, but now crews are back out at it. In Georgia, that means closures on Riverwatch and Mike Paget will be back in full swing. Coming up next on News 12 Midday, the same seat belt designed to protect you could harm you if you're over 85. You'll want to stick around to find out why.
Well, finally, some real changes to talk about in the forecast that definitely could be for the better here, dealing with the drought situation in Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. Cold front with rain could be headed this way through the mid part of the week, and it's feeling pretty warm out there as well. The forecast next.
On your side with your hour-by-hour forecast.
Well, rain's not involved in the forecast here throughout this morning. It was mainly a pretty thick deck of cloud cover, and we do still have some clouds, but also warming sunshine. It's really taking those temperatures close to the 70-degree mark here at midday, helping to drive a little bit more of that warmth in. Humidity levels, not all that high, 47 dew point, but that southerly wind at 11, just around that 70-degree mark is where we're going to sit here over the next few hours. Going into just a mostly cloudy sky with sunshine at times, getting above average highs and sliding back into just the upper 60s as clouds remain apparent through the forecast later on tonight. And we're looking at some rain chances heavily tomorrow and into Wednesday. Middle and upper 60s from Thompson to 70 in Swainsboro, 66 Allendale, some cooler low 60s up there around Saluda, Aiken, and Edgefield. Could be a rough day for severe weather here from right around eastern Texas, kind of Texarkana, Louisiana, most of Mississippi under at least the central, northern, and western half under that enhanced risk, while we just have general thunderstorm activity possible over the next 24 hours headed towards the Atlanta area. But we still, again, have some watches out there along parts of East Texas, northern Louisiana, right into far southern Arkansas, still looking at the potential for some very strong thunderstorm activity. Getting that feed coming in as high pressure moves in off to the east, drawing in some moist air and setting up for what could be thunderstorm activity, as we just saw in some of that severe later on today in parts of the Gulf states. As we get out the rest of the day, the forecast here, this front continuing to kind of lag behind the strongest line of showers and storms here today. So from Jackson all the way to Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee, looks like that I-40 corridor through the overnight hours could be dealing with some very rough and heavy rains. We get into around 11:30, we see a little bit of isolated shower activity for later on this evening, but it's really not until tomorrow morning that we get the chance a little bit better for rain. But just notice what happens. It doesn't hold together according to models right here for any heavy rainfall coming through later on tomorrow. We'll just have to wait maybe for our next front coming in here by Wednesday afternoon to see the potential for a couple of days of some good rains right there. We certainly need it. Looking into 77 degrees with a chance of showers, maybe even an embedded thunderstorm. Breezy conditions well above that average high of 65 degrees, which we won't return back to until around Friday. And going into that upcoming weekend, much cooler, and we'll still have to maybe see the chance of showers head into Sunday and maybe the start of next week, but not too cold in the overnight lows the next few nights, upper 50s to that near 60 mark. Back in just a few minutes.
President-elect Donald Trump asking for recounts after Hillary Clinton wins the popular vote. In 2 minutes, we're on your side with what else Trump is working this midday. To politics now, President-elect Donald Trump claims he would have won the popular vote if there wasn't, quote, serious voter fraud in Virginia, New Hampshire, and California. Now at least 3 battleground states are recounting their votes. Today, Wisconsin election officials will meet to talk about when they may recount as well. The recount must be done by December 13th. Well, it comes while Trump prepares to meet with a group of potential administration hires in New York today. The possible choice of Mitt Romney for Secretary of State has sparked vocal debate among Trump's closest advisors. An argument in the French Quarter of New Orleans turns into a mass shooting, killing 1 and injuring 9 more. 25-year-old Demontres Tolliver was killed in the Bourbon Street shooting. Everyone else is expected to be okay. Police say none of the people that were shot were actually the intended targets. Officials are still looking for 2 men who started shooting, but they say they already know who those men are. Well, in about an hour and a half west of New Orleans, officials say the suspect in another shooting in Louisiana is dead after a shootout with police. Police say he shot a woman and ran over 2 bystanders before crashing into an ambulance last night. Baton Rouge police detectives say he was eventually shot during a chase in the woods and died on his way to the hospital. Well, seatbelts are meant to protect us in a car crash. But for some drivers, they can be harmful. As Chris Van Cleve reports, drivers aged 85 and older are 9 times more likely per mile to be hurt in a car crash with their seatbelts.
I remember sitting there and my body was just flipping back and forth.
Pam Sohn ended up in a neck brace after a Jeep backed into her car. Her seatbelt kept her in the seat, but researchers believe it may have contributed to her concussion and back injuries.
Probably would have went through the window or something the way I was moving around had I not had it on, but yeah, didn't do what I thought it would.
The seatbelt Pam and the rest of us use wasn't designed for the 60-year-old's 5'4" frame. Professor John Bolte would like to see that change.
If a car can drive today without a person controlling it, why can't we have a safety system that could respond to better save someone?
Bolte is using crash tests like this to study the amount of force needed to protect those with more fragile frames, like smaller and older drivers. The goal is to have seatbelts that one day automatically adjust to the person they're protecting.
It's going to take a lot more force to stop me from going into the steering wheel than it would a grandfather or grandmother. And so that force against my thorax, is not going to cause rib fractures in me potentially, but it is perhaps too much force for someone that's a little bit older.
Crash tests show how seatbelts save lives. The driver at the top of your screen without a belt is launched forward. But when it comes to older drivers in particular, seatbelts are also blamed for a higher rate of potentially serious, even deadly chest injuries, as older drivers tend to be more easily injured in a crash. Seatbelts are credited with saving nearly 14,000 lives last year. Researchers say everyone should wear your seatbelt regardless of age or size, but also you want to make sure the seatbelt rests on your shoulder. This area is much stronger than your ribs and have 10 to 12 inches between you and the airbag. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Washington.
Well, welcome back. We're going to be talking about an oh so important topic, anti-aging. We'll talk whether it's possible or not. The recipe that may help is called an Italian-style loaded potato. Right off the bat, Kim, is anti-aging possible?
Tim, we all hope that it's possible, but really no treatments have been proven effective to help us stop aging. However, we are pumping billions of dollars into the anti-aging industry, but the best advice for aging well is pretty basic. Exercise regularly, do not smoke, wear sunscreen, eat a healthy diet, and of course that is where our recipe comes into play.
I think we can do that right there. Okay, let's talk about the ingredients that are going in this recipe today.
Okay, so the recipe comes to us from the Dairy Association, and we are starting off with, of course, a potato. We've got some low-fat cottage cheese going on, as well as baby spinach, marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, and then an Italian herb of choice. You could get the mixed blend or just basil and oregano, whatever you're liking.
Okay, well, good enough. Is there anything specific about diet and exercise that we should help cling to our youth that we can do?
I wish there was, but no, really, for this recipe, we are choosing a recipe high in calcium here because I wanted to emphasize the importance of bone health as we age.
Sure.
So it is important to maintain your bone health to decrease the risk of disability, and that also helps make sure that we're mobile and allows us to exercise well into our golden years.
Good enough for me right there. Okay, let's talk the recipe then.
All right, so the recipe is very simple, and what you're going to start off doing is just poking your potato and then putting it in the microwave for about 4 minutes. Now, some potatoes may take a little bit longer than others depending on their size. So while that is in the microwave, you're going to mix your cottage cheese and your spinach together with the marinara sauce. And the recipe itself makes 1 potato, but I doubled it here so that we can each have a potato.
Perfect.
So then you're going to stuff your potato with this mixture and then top it with a little bit of the Italian seasoning. You can go ahead and sprinkle some on if you want.
Sure can.
And then we're going to top that with a...
It's going to taste Italian.
That is a lot of seasoning, but that's okay. Hey, there's more antioxidants in that. Then you put a little bit of mozzarella cheese, microwave it for about another minute, and it's ready to eat. Very simple.
Good enough right there. Now, exercise helps with bone health too, right?
Yes, exercise definitely does, and it kind of works in tandem with adequate calcium and vitamin D, plus that exercise really helps to maintain that bone health. So get out there and exercise.
All right, do that and enjoy this Italian-style loaded baked potato.
Until next time, eat well, live well. Ahead on News 12 First at 5, a look at an officer-involved shooting over the weekend in Aiken County, what SLED has to say about the investigation. And at 6 o'clock, as the accrediting board responds to Payne College's appeal for accreditation, where enrollment and donations stand moving forward.
Well, it looks like some much-needed rain and a bit of a warm-up are headed this way, especially for tomorrow morning and into Wednesday afternoon with upper 70s. So cooler by the weekend. Need that rain, though, you know?
We need that rain.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Make it a great one.